It's pretty crazy to think that I've owned this cheeky little boy for 3 years now. I've known him since the day he was born. He was bred and owned by my current boss at the time. His mother rejected him as a foal, so we were bottle feeding him from day dot. This is where his confidence with people came from. I'm honestly so grateful to have taken these videos at this stage, not even knowing I would take him home and definitely not expecting it. Seeing his first time going out into a paddock and his first proper canter and run around the paddock is just so exciting to look back on. And just to look at how tiny he was, and you can still see his personality in these videos, it just really shines through. Fast forward to him being 5 months old and coming home. At this stage I didn't even know he was mine, and here's a video of Jep bossing him around and showing him who's boss. Being her usual dominant self in the paddock, she always has to be the boss. She was pretty mean with him at the start, not aggressive or anything, just made him stay a good distance away from her, but she quickly warmed up to him and ended up being the best of friends, and although he annoys her a lot, she still is obsessed with him to this day. Here are some clips from me meeting him and being told he was mine. I should say re-meeting him, because we all know I already knew him beforehand. And it's just crazy to look at what he looked like. He was such a scruffy little pot-bellied weanling, and it's great to see how much he's matured and how his coat has just blossomed. He still has a lot of his foal fluff here, as you can see, but that little pot belly, like, I could never get over that pot belly. Such a funny looking little dude. He's so cute though. And the next few clips we have is of him after his gelding operation. So I gelded him as soon as his little balls dropped. And here is him all drugged up and like, what is going on? And as I mentioned, Kai has always been cheeky and funny, and I just thought it was fun to include some little clips of him, and even a clip of him next to Jep to show his size back then. Here is the first time he was ever trotted on the lead. When he came to me, he knew literally nothing. He'd never been led or done anything. He could not walk on a lead. So here we have his first time trotting, and this took a while. It was a long time for him to actually understand it. As you can see here, he's gained some weight now, getting a bit older, losing that pot belly, and just actually starting to get a bit of fat coverage, which he lacked when I got him. This is his first time in an indoor arena, so his first little outing. We only walked here, but it's something. After he checked himself out in the arena for a while, I let him off and to wander around to experience everything, just check out little things. I walked him over a pole. His first everything, pretty much. Everything you see here is pretty much his first time doing everything. And here I let him off, and he has a little run. He has always been such an energetic character, and it's just so great watching back on these videos, and honestly, he's just the same little cheeky, exuberant little dude. Although he's grown since here, it's just, his personality hasn't changed. He's always been pretty quiet as well, takes everything new so well. He's funny. He is. Here he is at his first little outing with other horses. This was a fun day event, and I just walked him to it. He experienced so many new things. At this stage, he's still so young, and it was great to have him experience all of these, in quotation marks, scary things at an early age. It was just so good to be able to expose him to these things so early. And here is Kai with his first ever fly mask. Funny boy. He's always been such an affectionate, loving boy. Although cheeky, he just loves people and would rather be with people than horses. I think it's come from him being raised by people. He just absolutely adores anyone that would love and give him affection. Keeping his cheeky, curious little personality. It's his first time playing with a little lunge whip. And fast forward a little bit further, he's lost some of his fluff now, which kind of makes it look like he's lost weight, but he hasn't. It's just losing more of his coat. And this was his first time on a float other than when he was dropped off at ours. When he arrived, he was quite terrified, had a bad floating experience, so it's safe to say this wasn't the easiest thing to get him used to. He arrived with a cut on his head and a cut on his knee, which has still got a scar to this day. So getting off has been something that we've had to deal with for a while, and even getting him back on the float. So here we have more of an update from his leading. Now that his coat started to, kind of shed more and he's getting more of that summer coat, he's looking a lot healthier and fuller. Learning how to halt. Again, we took him to another fun day and exposed him to more scary things. And as you can see, his coat's really looking lovely at this stage, and he's gained even more weight, and he's looking like a proper horse at the moment, although still young. Experiencing the water, walking him over more things, and just getting him used to everything we possibly could at this age. And keeping up with his fun-loving, cheeky personality. Here is Kai and I playing in the paddock. He used to love doing things like this. It was so fun to have a horse that would like to play and also respect your space at the same time. The respect did not come at first, but with time and as we grew closer, he started to respect my space. And just to show off how quiet he is, here is Kai with the ride-on mower. It is turned on, by the way, as well, as you can see. So the sound is going and everything. I was harrowing the paddock. And he's just like, okay, yeah, no worries. This is cool. I'm fine with this. Keep in mind, this is I think at this stage he would have been about 1.5 years. Maybe nearly 2. And he's just like, okay, cool. This is cool. So fast forward a little bit further, a few months later, I started to introduce more things like lunging. And this is where we faced a lot of difficulty. It was just dealing with the lack of respect with the lunge line. While he'd respect me when we were closer, I'd let him have the lead on the lunge, and he just kind of thought it was his time to play. He didn't want to work, he just wanted to carry on. And this was a very hard, long road to get him to just relax and trot out nicely, as seen here. But he has always been a little bit stubborn, so it's always been something too hard to work past. And once he doesn't want to do something or he wants to play, he just gets into that kind of work mode. And as you can see from me changing outfits, we are fast forwarding to further and further through our journey of the lunging. As you can see here, he's quite relaxed, he's not tense and carrying on, and we're able to do proper circles. There we had a decent canter transition without him bucking and carrying on, and a downwards transition back into trot. So we eventually gained that respect back, but it was not something that came quick or easy. And the way I overcame this was doing a lot more groundwork, not just lunging, but just working with him on the ground, doing leading and basic things like that, disengaging his hindquarters, and just so he kind of realized that, hey, you can't do that. Here is another floating trip. He's getting so much better at this stage, and he's just, instead of being silly and just outright refusing, he's actually starting to think about it and trust me. And as you can see, that was like the 3rd or 4th go, and he just pretty much got straight on. And then this is him getting off. See, practice really paid off with him. And this is where we dropped him off at the breakers. So this is where Kai began his journey as a ridden horse. At this stage, I believe he's about 2.5. He got the all clear from the vets and was ready to start some basic work. He's grown a lot here. He's still very bum high. And here's the first time of him being ridden. This is the breaker on him. And him just trotting around happily. Something that was hard at the beginning was forwardness. The breaker always struggled with getting him forward. And it's only been in recent months that we've found that forwardness, which was nice to finally find. But here he is just doing his circles and basic things like this. This is the first time I ever sat on Kai, which was really exciting. It was just on a little trail. He loves his trails. It's something he did a lot at the breakers. He didn't do a lot of, circle work or arena work or anything. He was out on the trails. And here is my first proper ride on Kai. So the thing that we focused on with him is just getting him forward, because it was just something he lacked at this stage. And as well as like basic things, of course, like brakes and getting the right canter leads, which is something to still be desired. Here he is having a nice canter. I always loved his canter. And this is him arriving home. And Jep showing who's boss, just in case he forgot while he was away for the 2 months. This is my first time riding him at home, and I had this one ride on him and then gave him 3 months off. So I just wanted to make sure he was settled at home, and I was able to do everything that I was doing with him at the breakers at home, just trying to keep that forwardness going, which was starting to get a little bit easier. He was very unfit, obviously, because his work at the breakers was only such short work. He was never worked for longer than 15 minutes. So I had a very quick ride on him just to make sure all the buttons were there and working and he was listening to me. And then that's where I left him for another 3 months, just so he could grow and mature. The 3 months were never going to be definitely 3 months. They were possibly going to be more. But by then it was the right time to bring him back. In his time off, we had a little photo shoot, and that's just showing how much he's grown and developed. And this is after 3 months off, me getting back on him for the first time in the round yard, just making sure he's happy and quiet, which he always has been fairly quiet. I just doing basic things like turning, working him off my leg, doing a bit of backing up, which he started to learn. Bit hesitant, but he did it, which was lovely. I then felt confident enough that he could do a bit of trot work. I only did about half a circle, not even that, there you go, and just ended it there. It was a quick 10-minute ride because I didn't want to push anything, and he was good, and that's all I wanted at this stage. I didn't care for fitness or anything like that, or how long he was ridden, just as long as it was quick, and as soon as I got something good, I stopped. Here is another day when I get back on him, and I'm trying to get him to yield off my leg and just listen to my leg, which is something he really lacked to start off with, as well as working with a bit of neck reining alongside the use of my legs. He was very ignorant to my leg a lot at first and would get quite frustrated at it, which you will see in more clips, but he's starting to yield a bit more off them throughout this ride. Here we are backing up again, and he's doing it a lot more cleaner. Here is just him showing how much he loves my boyfriend. As I said earlier, he's a very affectionate boy, and he just thrives off human attention and affection. He's very loving, but he can get nippy, so he doesn't get as much affection as he would like to because he gets a bit nippy. Being his cheeky self, of course. And now we hit a wall. We go back to the disrespect that he had on the lunge, which hadn't been there for ages, since before he was sent off to the breakers. And this ride was, of course, the first time I fell off Kai. I got straight back on because that's the rider I am. As soon as I come off, there's no way I'm not getting back on that horse. You can see he's trying to bite my foot. That is something else we had issues with as well, with him just trying to get out of work and just trying to get his way, being the stubborn boy that he can sometimes be. So again, getting him to yield off my leg, because the reason he threw me off was because he got frustrated at my leg, and in his opinion, I put too much leg on. Here we have a different day again. These rides are all like a couple weeks apart, a lot of them, just so you can start to see different amount of progress. Although small, every little progress is a win in my mind. And he's starting to yield off my leg. He's not getting frustrated at my leg anymore. Only using fairly light pressure. And then I start to do more of trot work, which we hadn't done much of, but I'm doing, a full circle now. It's not much, but he is a young horse, and I don't care about how long he trots for, just as long as he's being good. This is the first time of me riding him outside of the round pen since his time off. This was a big thing for me, especially after just coming off him that current ride. I was not full of confidence, but luckily he was an angel. Fast forward to I think about a month later from the previous videos, and I'm happily riding him outside of the round pen. I didn't feel my progress with him for a little bit because I just wanted to focus on him and not the camera. So yes, I'd say this is about a month or so later. And here we're just again trying to get that forwardness because he started to lose it a bit. It is also in the colder months at this stage where, as you can see, is winter fuzz. So he just kind of lost that forwardness for whatever reason. He seems to enjoy the warmer weather more, which is strange. As you can see, I'm pushing my hands forward there just to encourage him to go forward. And he's got quite a cute little trot stride, and I can see so much potential in it if he just got more forward and more impulsion behind him. But he is young, and that will come with training, and it has since this as well, which you guys will see. But as you can see just throughout those clips from this ride, he's getting more and more forward. Here we have another float trip, and as you can see, he doesn't need that much. That was the first time getting him on the float, by the way, and he pretty much just got on with a little assistance. This is his first ever proper outing, and it is at a pony club rally day. It was quite exciting. We started him off in the round pen, then put him in with all the other horses. He's never been with a group environment, like with other horses, ridden around any of them, and he didn't put a single foot wrong. I couldn't have expected any more out of him. My auntie and everyone was so surprised that this was his first outing, and everyone was just saying that they honestly didn't expect it. Like, I didn't expect it either. From this cheeky little boy that he has been, although fairly good, he had his moments of, like, just outright, no, I don't want to do this, and he just honestly loved it. Pony Club rally days are his favourite thing to do. He loves socialising with all the other horses. He honestly thrives on these days. And it was just so amazing that this day literally couldn't have gone any better. I couldn't believe for his first outing in such bad winds as well. You can see the trees. He was just an angel. And he's been to more rally days since. Those were some photos from past rally days. Here is Kai again, being a little bit stubborn. No, he was just being introduced to a dressage whip, and he just doesn't like the feeling on his hind end. This is his first time in an indoor arena, and now you can see I'm starting to teach him the concept of contact. They obviously at this stage is very inconsistent. He hadn't been learning it for long at this stage, but he was picking up fairly well, and anything is a win. Obviously his head does bob a bit, but that's because of his age and experience. He's starting to get his canter leads better and better. His canter is seen pretty weak in these clips. It's something that we are still working on. He still does not have a very balanced and strong canter just because he is so young and green. But he's progressing really well. Now here is his first trail ride. We went along with Phoebe and Andy, and he was such a good mate for Kai. Kai was obsessed with him because Kai's obsessed with every horse, and he just took it all so well. He was an angel. And here's Kai being cheeky yet again, pulling Jep's tail. Get up, Jep, get up. He's honestly so cheeky. Showing more of his little quirky personality. Here is his first ball. We bought him 2 like cheap balls from Target, just seeing if he'd actually play with them, because he used to play with my dressage cones. Well, he still does. He prefers the cones. And he popped these within a couple hours, so we went and bought him a proper horse ball, which he still has now. Because he loved these so much, he just kept playing with them until they popped. So that's when we decided to get him one of the proper horse balls. He's so funny. He just loves pushing around the paddock. And those are the cones behind him. You can kind of see some of them that he loves to play with. And when they're in this paddock with all my dressage cones, he just picks them up and rearranges them for me. Here's the other plastic one with the handle. And we got the horse ball version of this because it's just thicker. So, I mean, it's made for horses, so he can't pop it. And, of course, he wants attention. He's like, I'm done playing. Love me, human. Love me, kiss me. And he's just showing off how handsome and photogenic he is because it's his favourite thing to do. Yet again, playing with the ball. He would just throw them around the paddock all the time. And he also likes to play with the dogs up and down the fence. Now this ride is just showing how he was progressing with his long and low. This is mostly how I work him. This is how I taught him to go into the contact as well. I started off with encouraging him to stretch long and low. And as he began to get that is when I started to bring his head up and focus on that more on the bit type work. But he honestly loves his long and low work. He loves working like this. As you can see in this ride, he's not super consistent with it. It was just learning, but he loves it. Honestly, thrives off this kind of work, and it's so much better for them to work like this as well, because it just really engages that hind end and just helps build that muscle and top line that he needs at this age. And he just loves it, so it's nice to do it when he enjoys it so much. And I think this long and low work is the foundation to your normal on the bit work. It's so important. And here we have our most recent ride, where he's really starting to understand the contact more. And as you can see, his forwardness, it's just perfect. He's so forward moving and willing in these clips. And that's what he's working like all the time now. That forwardness is no longer an issue. He just absolutely loves it. He's a powerhouse. He would literally just keep working all day. I wouldn't do that to him, but that's just what he's like at the moment. And as you can see, his canter is getting so much better and more balanced. It is definitely not quite there yet, though. It's still got such a long way to go, and a really long way to go, like really long way. But he's really starting to balance himself and just get that strength to hold himself. And here we just have more of our leg yields. As you can see, he's starting to get straighter in the body now when we do them, and really listening to my leg now. He's getting so good at them. And this is his weak canter side, so it is not as strong. And it's a big difference, actually. You can really feel it when you ride him. It's a big difference. He just doesn't feel anywhere near as balanced. But I'm so proud with how hard he's trying and how well he's coming along. And as you can see, forwardness is clearly not an issue. He's looking so much better. I'm just so happy with where he is currently, and I can't wait to do more with him and get him out competing next year. It'll be so fun. As you can see, here's our long and low work, and just from the clips you saw before, which was a week or two before these clips, he's improved so much with his long and low, and he just loves it. He really does. I start and end every ride like this, and some rides I just ride him like this the whole time throughout. I do very, very little work on the bit, no more than 5 to 10 minutes, because he just doesn't need to do more, and it's hard for them, especially when they're young and not very. So this is currently where we at. 3 years of owning Kai, going through all the ups and downs with more to come. But I hope you guys enjoyed this little progress video, because I really enjoyed making it, and I can't wait for more years with Kai.